ability to, defend, rebound. He's good in the locker room. That would bode well for, what we hope to do with that position. And Matt Barnes was, not something we planned on weeks ago. Free agency is kind of topsy-turvy for a player sometimes, and I'm not quite sure even he knew where he'd end up, based on what you might have read the last 3 or 4 days. But it came about quickly, in particular with Luke Walton's, health issues. We thought adding a player like that would give us great insurance at that position. Although he can defend, some bigger guards, he's basically a small forward. So we feel fortunate to have added him at the last minute.
Are you still looking at it with guard?
Would that be like a Shannon Brown question?
Or Shannon Brown or anyone really?
We're still talking to Shannon. I think there's a good chance that, in the next couple of weeks, we can have some resolution there with Shannon, and I'm optimistic. So if that does come about, then that would be the fifth guard, yes.
All right, so are you guys in a position that perhaps you keep both of the draft picks to go with Walton guys?
That's correct. Now, once again, we feel there's a question mark that surrounds Luke's health. You all know what he went through last year. So, we feel we have to have some insurance there.
Mitch, where is Luke at this point? Is he exploring surgery? Is he? I know talking to him after his exit interview, he was a little hesitant to get out of here to see some other options first. Has anything changed as far as
Nothing's changed. My understanding is he's going to attempt to rehabilitate, his back the remainder of July and all of August, and probably reevaluate where he is at the end of August, early September, around Labor Day. He's worked with our people and some other experts in the field, and I think that's his plan right now.
So it's still
Yeah.
up in the air.
Yeah, it's not the run-of-the-mill, back type of problem. It's unique, and I'm not a doctor. I don't feel qualified to go into great depth in discussing it, but it's certainly not a run-of-the-mill back injury. And we don't know where it's going to end up. He's a gamer, and he loves to play. He wants to be a part of the team, and he'll do whatever it takes to get back on the court. So that's a positive. To have a player that's motivated to get well. It's not always the case.
Are you concerned that this might cause him to miss a year? Or
Absolutely.
maybe
Sure. It's a possibility.
back for
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing, is that Luke make the correct decision for his life, not for basketball. You always remind players, and we do. We talk to them. Most of the, I played, and I know Phil played, so, and neither one of us really walk well. So, we do talk to the players and say, hey, listen, your life's going to continue for 30, 40 years, and it's a consideration. We don't ever want to advise a player to do something where you end up, walking with a limp or a bad shoulder or a bad hip. It's the aging process of a healthy athlete is difficult enough as it is. So, we counsel Luke, and our trainers do, and to try to keep the big picture at the forefront of any decision. But like most young players that want to play, sometimes they don't do that. So
What's the status on Andrew?
it's our understanding that Andrew's going to have his surgery on the 28th, which would be Monday, I believe. Wednesday? Is that the 28th, Wednesday? Wednesday, the 28th. That's our understanding.
Mitch, with the additions this offseason and the guys you've brought back, do you think on paper at least this team has the potential to be better than the last two championship teams?
I think we've added, depth, and I think we've addressed, our major concern. Knowing that Jordan probably would not return, that left a gaping hole in our backcourt. So to bring in a player like Steve, that gives us a great degree of comfort to that position. I mentioned earlier that, the Matt Barnes thing was not something that we planned on a month ago. Because of the market and, the way things worked out, he became a real possibility just a day or two ago. And to add to our front court with an experienced player. So we're pleased. We think we have a balanced roster. There's experience. We like our 2 rookies in Summer League, but that doesn't mean anything. You don't know how they're going to work out. But it's always nice to have young players, that you can work with and hope to develop. So, we like the group going into camp. We may or may not be done. I think if the season ended tomorrow, we'd be very happy with this group. But we do have another month or 2 to look at our roster and, explore other opportunities.
Speaking about Eubanks and Character, obviously you were in Vegas. By most accounts, they outplayed certainly their draft position. Are you now just waiting to see how they perform in training camp, or do you take some of that positivity out of their stuff?
I think they did play better than what their draft position indicated. But once again, Summer League, you're playing against, most of those guys are not going to be in the NBA. They'll be playing perhaps in training camps. Some of them will be in the D League, and a lot of them will go to Europe. So you're evaluating, potential NBA players against players that won't be in the NBA. And you got to keep that in mind. So just because you play well in Summer League doesn't mean you're going to make it at the NBA level. If you can't play well in the Summer League, then that's an indication that you can't play at the NBA level. That much we know. So we try to get the kids to come to camp and evaluate them there. But each one is, each circumstance is different. One player was drafted 43, the other player was drafted 58. They both did play well. We thought they both should have been drafted higher. We do have roster spots. If they are going to be players, you might consider, doing a deal longer than a year just in case they are. So there are other considerations, that we walk through and talk through, and right now I am in discussions with both representatives. And now that we know what our roster is going to look like, we know what we can offer in terms of the length of a deal. Where up until yesterday, you didn't know, because if you had the mid-level, you could offer a 3, 4, or 5-year deal. Now that you no longer have the mid-level piece that we used to sign Matt, it's really coming down to a minimum, 1 or 2 year contracts. So we have a lot more information today than we did yesterday, just in dealing with our rookies.
Andrew said during his interview that he thought he was going to have surgery actually about an hour before that. Did he give any indication as to why pushing it back a little bit?
Through conversations with the representative, it's our understanding that scheduling, the availability of the doctor, he's going to have it done in New York with Dr. Kupchak, who's the doctor that did his other.
Right.
So his schedule is completely out of our control, and to a great degree out of Andrew's as well. So I think that was a big part of it. Andrew traveled a lot. I think he went to the World Cup. But there's no real urgency. Sooner is always better. And we think even if he has it next week, there'll be plenty of time. But, you do want to get it done as quick as possible, because you just never know. But we think and we expect him to be fine for camp.
Aside from Shannon from USA Basketball, has Kobe decided course of action?
Aside from,
Has Kobe decided what he's planning to do for his injuries? Has there been any indication he's maybe surgery or any other treatment?
We have not, really discussed, in great depth with Kobe. I know he is, looking at, things that he may want to do. I guess if there's something there that, you guys need to know, we can get it out to you. It's kind of the first time the question's been asked. And Kobe kind of runs, his medical stuff kind of on his own a little bit. I know he's in touch with, our people downstairs, Gary. So if there's an update that's necessary, we'll get it out to you.
What kind of minutes do you think are available behind?
Well, we know what he can do. It's going to be based on, the needs of the team, the coach, and how he performs in training camp. Our group is is relatively young, but we do have a bunch of players now over 30. And maybe Kobe could benefit with some more rest. I know Ron Artest wants to play all the minutes, but maybe he can benefit with some rest. Certainly Derek can. And not that Matt can play point guard, but you could shuffle players around. You can put Kobe at a small forward. You can put Kobe at a 2. You can play Matt guarding 2s. And so it's a coach's, I think, challenge to manage the minutes. And how much will he play? I don't know. You know, it could be 15 to 18 minutes a game. It could be 20 to 25. You know, to be honest with you, it didn't come up with discussions, you know, with the agent or the player in the last 2 days. Everybody knows what our roster looks like. I'm sure he's not concerned about the 2 rookies. So he looks at our roster and he wants to be a Laker. And that's fine with us. In fact, that's great with us.
Is that unusual to hear a player not talk about that court time or something?
It is unusual. You know, it's not something that, you know, maybe a player would discuss with me, you know, because you look at the roster, and it is what it is. This is a veteran team. We have a starting small forward in Ron Artest. I don't think Matt thinks he's going to come in and beat him out. And I hope that's his mindset, because that would make for a competitive camp. But I'm sure that's not what he's thinking. He wants to come in and play hard and earn minutes. And you know, when I spoke to him last night, he was ecstatic. He wants to win. He wants to win a championship.
And you said that it wasn't necessarily a part of the plan knowing that he'd be available. Once you found that out, was there any kind of hesitation? Did you, just for the value that you got him at, was that kind of a no-brainer to bring him in?
I wouldn't say it was a no-brainer. Yeah, if you look at our roster, before we brought Matt on board, it's, in particular, after we added Theo, it's a pretty balanced roster, just on paper. But once again, I think Luke's situation, you know, changed things a little bit. And, you know, to ownership's credit, they decided to seek some insurance at a position, you know, that has some uncertainty to it. So, you know, that's something that was evaluated in the last day or two.